Aloha friends, welcome to Cusco Wellness. Today I really wanted to kind of take it back to the basics and talk a little bit about how to even begin a journey of health and wellness. I realize that I have been walking this path and in this space and this industry for a very long time, but maybe you haven't been. And I bet there's a lot of people out there who want to get started on a journey of good health, but maybe feel overwhelmed because there is so much out there, which is amazing because, there's a lot of options. You can find things that are more suited to you specifically, whether that's diet or exercise. There's something for everybody out there, but there's also so much information. So I kind of want to just take it to the basics. And I want this to be as if we're sitting down, I'm talking to a friend, and this is kind of where I would go, what I would do, and what I would recommend. I still have changes I would like to make for myself. I am in no way trying to put myself on any kind of pedestal. I am not a nutritionist. I am just somebody who has walked this path and who has gone on this journey. And I want to share a little bit about what I've learned that might make it a little easier for you to begin your journey. I know it can be overwhelming. All the different diets, all the different ways of eating, all the recommendations you hear about exercise, cardio, weightlifting, HIIT, yoga, there's a ton of information out there. So I want to just break this down. Sometimes we need to get back to the basics, right? We need to think about what we need to survive. So anyways, I guess the first thing would be to ask yourself, where do you need improvements? Are you somebody who is looking to improve your diet? Are you somebody who is looking to improve the amount of movement and exercise that you do? Or are you both? Are you in a place where you're not eating healthy, you're not getting movements? And it's understandable. I don't want to ever make anybody feel bad about where they are, because we all have these journeys and we all have to start somewhere. And we've all been in a place of not feeling the best about ourselves. So just taking a moment to think where you fall into this. So if you're somebody who needs to focus on diet, let's talk about that for a minute. It's so hard today because there are foods out there that hit those triggers, hit our all the spots that make us want more, make us crave that food, and that frustrates me because a lot of them are geared towards kids, and a lot of them have stuff in there that is not even food. And we could go into a whole conversation about the FDA and what they approve as consumable and edible and what truly is actually food for our bodies. So if I could recommend anything, it would be to focus on whole, real, mostly plant-based foods. Now, when I say mostly plant-based foods, don't freak out. You can have your meat, you can have dairy, you can have eggs. Of course, I'm never going to tell you can't have X, Y, and Z. But if you're in a place of wanting to just look at your diet and think about what needs to shift, cook at home. That is a big way that you can assure yourself that you are giving yourself good food because you know what's in it. I sometimes think I'm eating something healthy from a restaurant, and then for somehow, whatever reason, I find out what's actually in it, and I'm like, oh man, this is like some yummy salad or yummy tacos, and I just found out that there's this and this in it. Like, oh, okay, so I'm like not really eating something healthy, So when you make it at home, you know what's going in it, you have complete control. And so trying to fill your plate with as many vegetables as you can, like let's talk about dinner specifically. Filling your plate with multiple servings of vegetables. So not just like one vegetable, a protein, and a carb. Let's do like 2 servings of vegetables and a lean protein and maybe some carbohydrates. Whatever it is, just trying to make your plate full of whole foods. What can you go find in nature and put it on your plate in a way that resembles it in the form you found it, right? So sure, we can take potatoes and fry them in hydrogenated oils that are awful for our bodies, and voila, it's plant-based, right? Okay, so what I mean, like whole foods that have not been ultra processed. So, I'm not talking about bologna and hot dogs. So kind of breaking it down to the basics as far as that goes in your diet. Another big thing is the oils. And don't get me wrong, like I'll eat French fries. I love me some French fries. But I understand when I'm eating those that it's not something that is doing my body any good. If anything, it's not doing my body good. And it's a treat. It's something I don't have very often. And the main issue with French fries is the oils, right? So you go to a restaurant, they use GMO, corn, peanut, soy oil, some of the worst oils for you. And then they heat it so high and they reuse it and reheat it. It's just all bad. So some really healthy oils that I use to cook with are avocado oil, coconut oil, ghee. If you don't know what ghee is, check it out. It's basically clarified butter. So you can even make it yourself. Boil some butter, scoop the stuff off up the top. So these are things that are good to cook in high heat. They're not going to go rancid. So if you try to fry something in olive oil, after it hits a certain temperature, it goes rancid and is going to, it's not going to be good. Your body is not going to want that in there. But like on a salad, olive oil is great. So those are some things that I learned a while ago that I feel like really stuck with me. So the healthy oils, then there's also the aspect of like what you want to cut out of your diet. And this is a place where I want you to be careful because I don't want you to look at your diet and automatically say, oh man, I got to cut this out and this and this and this, like, to the point where you are just not enjoying your food. You're overwhelmed. You don't want to deprive yourself so much that you dislike your experience, right? Like food is delicious. Healthy food is delicious. You just have to get there. You have to get to that place where you appreciate it and get your taste buds tasting those whole foods again and not those ultra processed fast food meals, stuff that has tons of sodium, that stuff that hits all those triggers in our bodies to make us want more, right? MSG, all that kind of stuff. So a couple things I would recommend trying to cut out at first, one thing at a time. You don't have to like do all these at once because that's going to be overwhelming, but fried food, processed sugar. So any kind of candies, anything, a lot of it is like the white stuff, it's the processed sugar, it's the bread, it's the dairy. All these things are stuff that we can do without. I have struggled for years feeling like, do I stop eating dairy? But I love it. It brings me joy. And I don't eat a ton. Feta cheese and goat cheese are kind of my go-to. But like still, it's something that I've given up before and I haven't enjoyed my food as much. It's kind of a bummer, and I long for it no matter how long I go without eating it. If I'm vegan for a year, I'm still missing those things. So why not do moderation? Have them once in a while. Have it as a treat. So those are some things. Processed meats, we all know those aren't good for us. And alcohol. And also so much is like all about moderation. You hear that all the time, like everything in moderation. But sometimes we exaggerate moderation and go, oh, I only drink once in a while. But then if you really look back, you're like, oh, I had 3 drinks a night last week. So that's, 21 drinks a week. We need to like be real with ourselves. So focusing on quality, nutrition-dense food, adding those into your diet. So again, I don't want this to be all about things you have to cut out. Can't do this, can't do that. Like, no, that's not what this should be. But definitely like start to think about like, okay, what could I do away with? Like, how many times do I eat fast food? Maybe I can cut that down, and maybe I can make my own French fries, bake them. You know, I love baking sweet potatoes, making sweet potato fries. You can even buy frozen French fries at the store and just bake them. I mean, you're just like skipping the unhealthy step, right? So then we're going to talk about like adding foods into your diet that are going to get you that nutrient density and the high quality of the nutrients. So it's going to fill your body. It's going to start healing your gut from all those oils, all of that fried food. Taking a probiotic would be a great step. I have some random things out here that I just kind of want to like show you. Things that surround yourself with stuff that is good for you. Sugar, you know, I use stevia once in a while. Monk fruit sweetener is amazing. There are some great alternatives for sugar, white sugar especially, in your morning coffee, in your morning tea. Have some alternatives. Have some tea instead of that coffee. Trying to create an alkaline environment in your body. You can look up some studies about like alkaline and acidic and finding out how diseases thrive more when we have an acidic pH level in our bodies. And then another thing is water. This is my baby. If I leave it somewhere, I panic and I'm like, oh, my water bottle, because this is just my sidekick. I'm constantly filling it. I'm constantly filling it with high alkaline water, and I bring it everywhere because I know how important it is to drink water. I don't drink soda once in a while, or sometimes we get these stevia sweetened sodas, but like water is my go-to. So that's another thing that maybe you can think about shifting. And so, yeah, you know, flooding your body, just starting to think about like good things you can add. If you feel overwhelmed with the idea of cutting things out, let's think about what you can add. Like, this is all about what's going to work for you, where you're at, and just little things you can do. This has been a long journey for me, even personally. I've regressed. I've made big progress. I've shifted from vegan to vegetarian to vegan, back to vegetarian, to eat whatever my body is calling me to eat. Very intuitive eating. Listening to ourselves, how does that food make me feel, whether it's emotionally or physically? I ate that, how do I feel? Do I feel energized? Do I feel vibrant? Or do I feel bleh, you know? And I wrote so much stuff down because I could just go on and on about this, and I'm so passionate about it, and I want to share my experiences and my journey in hopes that like maybe it'll kind of help kickstart you on your journey. Surround yourself on social media with inspiring pages. There's this one on Instagram called The Buddhist Chef. And like, his videos are just awesome. His food looks amazing. Like, just kind of like picking a couple pages, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or any of the platforms, Pinterest, make a Pinterest thing of healthy foods. But just like kind of starting to call those things into your life, starting to surround yourself with a little bit more healthy stuff. Books. This is a great book. The co-founder of Purium wrote this book, The Green Foods Bible. You can do something like I do once in a while. I make a vision board. I write stuff on it that's going to inspire me. I put it on my fridge. I cut out photos. Anything to kind of just start calling in things that are going to inspire you into your life. You don't have to do this alone. There are tons of resources out there. Tons of podcasts. When it comes to exercising, I love to listen to a good podcast and sit on my stationary bike and ride. If you're somebody who is really lacking in the exercise department, like what can you do where you are with what you've got? If you're in a small apartment building these days and you're in the city and it's snowing, what can you do to get your body moving? Half an hour a day. Take a couple days off if you need, but like at least a half an hour a day of movement. So can you do an online HIIT workout? Fitness Blender is a great resource. They have tons of free videos. I love them. They're simple, straight to the point, nothing fancy, just like a good solid workout. Walking is amazing. And nowadays we're so used to being overly stimulated that like Yes, it is great to walk out in nature and not have any stimulation, but if you need to listen to music or a podcast to get yourself out the door and to walk a few miles, do it. So yeah, just there are so many opportunities, and if you're just getting started, I hope that these are a few things that you can add in and that can maybe get you taking those little baby steps on your way to feeling better. And thanks for listening. I'll definitely see you guys again.